He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, gigantic developments on prisonplanet.com. Top story, American mercenary captured by Russians, confirmed by multiple mainstream sources. We know 1,000 Marines were there taking part in drills. Hundreds of confirmed U.S. Army Special Forces. Major Israeli newspapers, as we reported earlier, and we have links to those up on Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. More than 1,000 Israeli troops led by Israeli mercenaries. The Georgian military is commanded by an Israeli national. That's all listed here by the BBC. Also, their foreign minister is an Israeli. So this is a NATO, Israeli, Ukrainian, British attack, sneak attack, launched Thursday night on the eve of the Olympics. The media is spinning it and saying that Russia attacked them. They destroyed an entire city, killing thousands, continuing to attack with their self-propelled rocket batteries. The Russians have been fighting back and are now, for several days, driving them out of Ossetia and other areas. They've now entered into central Georgia. The fighting is intensifying. General Petraeus reported today in the Associated Press he is sending in U.S. military C-130s with 2,000 Georgian reinforcements that were in Iraq. U.S. aircraft are flying into the zone. Petraeus says to back up. So our government is delivering troops to the front line. And don't think the Russians won't send Heinz in. They've said anybody supporting the conflict, anybody attacking Russian forces or supplying them will be attacked. They've told the international community and all the nations that border, including Ukraine, the Black Sea, that any ships trying to deliver weapons, they've told the Israelis this, out of Turkey. They told Turkey anybody trying to deliver weapons into Georgia will be attacked. Russian submarines are there on alert. Russian battleships and missile cruisers have been sinking Georgian ships. This is insane. NATO instructor taken hostage with Georgians amid reports of U.S. military commanding thousands of mercenaries in proxy war. Paul Joseph Watson, prisonplanet.com. An American mercenary has been captured by Russian forces along with a number of Georgian soldiers, according to a report from the Russian news website. And it goes on, providing more evidence that U.S. and NATO are covertly supporting the Georgian army in a proxy war against Russia. According to the report, which is a major Russian daily, the mercenary is an African-American who is a NATO instructor and an ordnance specialist. He has now been transferred to the Russian base of Vladivostok. It goes on. The story also backs up previous reports of dead black Americans being found dead in the capital of South Ossetia wearing U.S. uniforms. We played those. Russia Today, that's their equivalent of CNN. U.S. soldiers recently conducted training programs where they instructed Georgian soldiers how to deal with unexploded ordnances as part of Georgian Train and Equip program. And it is a serious escalation. Now, he was on with us about 2.5 weeks ago, and he said Russia is going to start bringing more oil and gas to market. People have been pointing this out all over the web, the interview. He said there will be major confrontations with Russia in the next year over them trying to bring this to market. BP owns the end of the pipeline, which applies more than 1%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's enough to really shake things up. Just that one pipeline that goes into the Black Sea and then into Turkey. Very, very serious. But Lindsey said you would see gas prices start plunging. He's told 9 weeks ago now, he told Dr. Stan Monteith this privately. Monteith has an impeccable record, said he did tell him secretly this. Then a month ago, Lindsey Williams went public about this and said you'll see it start plunging because he has a major oil executive contact whose all his previous information has proven out to be accurate. But I wanted to get you back on today to flesh out more of what he said in your conversations with him. More of what your New World Order source said specifically about confrontations with Russia.
Alex, thank you for the privilege of being on with you today. The standard currency of the world is crude oil. Everything that you're seeing happen today is about crude oil. It's nothing else. They really don't care about people. It wasn't a matter of the fact that Saddam Hussein killed so many people in Iraq. After all, George Bush has seen more people murdered over there and killed than what Saddam ever did. Same thing in Georgia.
Well, he was our boy.
But it's about crude oil.
He was our boy, in fact, till they set him up to go into Kuwait.
Sure, it's all about crude oil. This Iran, I'm so glad that you had Ron Paul on the other day. Congratulations, Alec. Your listening audience are some of the most privileged people on the face of this earth because they get everything up to date every day. I don't know how you do such an amazing job of it, but Ron Paul talking about what's going to happen in Iran. Every bit of it is about crude oil. Iran, Iraq, Georgia, Russia, every bit of it. And 8 weeks ago, when this individual called me in order to threaten me, he said, Lindsey, you can't talk about certain things anymore.
And again, this is a big oil exec you worked for several years, worked with, but please continue.
Well, I was a chaplain on the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline, and because I was doing such a job for them, they gave me executive status, invited me to sit in on their board meetings in an advisory capacity in order to help the relationship between management and labor. And because of it, I got to know a lot of these top people. Well, I had not seen this man for about 20 years or talked with him. And he called me up on the phone to threaten me and say, you can't talk about certain things anymore. Well, after we agreed, and I did everything that he said, including pulling my website and my DVD, and then I decided I'd be polite and kind to him, and I said, how's your family, where you been living? It really became very friendly. And then I began to ask him questions, and when I asked him the questions, he readily answered me just as if he'd been in the board meetings lately. And that, Alex, is where I came by my information. You know, people so often think, oh, Lindsey Williams, you're a prophet. No, I'm not. I put on my britches every morning just like you do. It's just the fact that there are certain contacts that I still have amongst the elite who tell me things from time to time, and over the past 35 years, the only thing I've ever done is just voiced what I have heard them tell me. And when this individual called me 8 weeks ago and begun to tell me all of these things are going to happen in the next year to 2 years, I was utterly dumbfounded, and that's where all this information came from, Alex.
Well, Lindsey, let's get into specifics because everybody was freaking out on YouTube comments and on my Infowars.com comments pages. You can comment below the pages. People are using it as a message board. That is, people can comment on the stories, to be specific. And they're all pointing out that you had talked about confrontation with Russia in and around Central Asia and Eastern Europe when you were on. I don't have the staff at the time to go back and listen to the 3 or 4 hours of interviews we did 2 or 3 weeks ago. But then I brought that up to you, and you said, well, yes, I did. You know, he did tell me that there will be escalating tensions in that region with the Russians. Did he say anything else about that?
Okay, let me give you the context in which that was given to me, because there again, let me stress, I only say what I have been told by, and this person gave me certain things he said. The price of crude oil is going to $50 a barrel eventually. It'll probably go up more before it goes there. He said we're going to open up 2 major oil fields in the world in order to flood the world with crude oil and basically destroy the economies of the Middle East, the oil-producing countries of the Arabs. And he said we're going to open up 2 oil fields. I asked him, where are they? He said number 1 in Indonesia. He said another one north of Russia. Now, on July the 24th, Fox News had it headlines that there is a major oil field that was found in north of Russia or northern Russia. Now, in the context of the fact that Russia is going to become the leading major financial power in the world, do you realize right now that there are more millionaires in Russia than in any other country in the world? And it's all about oil. So in the context of the fact that he said they're going to have this major oil field found in Russia, that Russia is going to supply most of the oil for the world, beginning almost immediately whenever this oil field is announced, which it was on July the 24th, I knew that we would have confrontations with Russia from that point on. Then Georgia comes up, and what's it all about? Oil pipeline, oil in Georgia, natural gas going through Georgia. Russia has interest in Georgia because of oil and natural gas. And every bit of this all revolves around one thing, oil. So we definitely, I could gather from the context of what this man said, we can expect over the next few years more and more and more power to be vested in Russia.
Now, did you extrapolate that or deduce that, or did he specifically say we're going to have confrontations with Russia?
No, I extrapolated that. He did not say we're going to have confrontations with Russia, but I knew that if Russia becomes the financial power that he said it was going to, and that there is this major oil field that was supplying the majority of oil for the world from Russia, I knew that this meant confrontations with Russia, but I didn't
Lindsey,
expect it to happen this quickly.
Lindsey, why don't you call him back again and ask him some more questions? I mean, have you only talked to him twice?
I talked to him 3 times.
Okay, well, when's the last time you talked to him?
About 3 weeks ago.
So right around the time you were on my show last.
Just before I was on your show.
What was the last thing you talked to him about?
I asked him, I said, what can I say that what you've told me? You've told me these things are going to happen. And I said, I don't want to get in trouble, and definitely don't want you threatening me again. I said, can I say Lindsey Williams thinks these things are going to happen? He said, as long as you leave my name out of it, you can.
What a nice gangster. Well, you need to call him back, Lindsey. You need to call him back and pick his brain about some more things that are happening.